Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Kay, and I am here today to do Bel-Air Season 2 review. It's been a while. I supposed to have been did this video, but it's coming out. So, of course, as we know, Season 2 had 10 episodes. And there were so many things happening in this season. I overall feel like it was a good season. I just wish, sometimes we just did not have to get 10 episodes. Sometimes I wish we could have, had 2 more. One character that stuck out this whole season probably was Carlton. To me, Carlton probably out of everybody had the most going on outside of Will, because the story, I think, is, of course, mainly centered around Will. But Carlton had me pissed a lot this season. I was happy to see, that his relationship with Will had progressed, but then it seemed like it kind of declined a little bit. At the end of season 1, we saw Carlton putting money in Will's pocket to allow Will to have a little bit of spending money since Will was leaving. Will was pretty upset with his mom, Aunt Viv, and Uncle Phil because they were hiding the information from his father from him. But it seems like the only person who was not in communication with Will at the beginning of season 2 was Uncle Phil. And there was, a little bit of time that had gone by that Will was not living in the house. Will also officially decided to take a break from Lisa, which was interesting because I felt like their story developed really fast and ended really fast. But back to Carlton. Carlton seemed to be dealing with a lot of pressure. Pressure to succeed, mostly because he comes from an affluent family. Also pressure because he goes to a predominantly white private school where he's one of few people of color. And so he tries to navigate the space to where he wants to succeed and he wants to be able to partake in opportunities that are around him, because he does want to go to an Ivy League school for college. But at the same time, his community is holding him accountable because he is in a position of power. There is, at Bel-Air Academy, there is one instance where Carlton kind of gives the Black Student Union a reality check, and it was just a simple fact that they told him that he used them to get their votes, but then he also kind of hit the flip on them and was like, well, when it comes down to having your voices heard, nobody is in place to have their voices heard. So I felt like, that was something valuable that needed to be heard on both sides because of the simple fact of the things that were moving forward at Bel-Air Academy, such as the firing of Miss Hughes. Miss Hughes was one of few Black teachers at Bel-Air Academy, and she ended up losing her job because she was giving students, or Ashley in particular, things to read outside of the curriculum. And this also kind of reminded me of the situation on Swagger when it came down to the Black Student Union at Cedar Cove saying that they needed more Black literature, or they needed more literature from people of color. And Ashley was receiving that from Mrs. Hughes. And I thought Mrs. Hughes, termination was wrongful, but, they didn't think it was. But the students ended up going forward with the protest, even though they were given structure on how to do it. But basically, the structure was a way to keep them from really stating how they felt about what was actually going on at Bel-Air Academy. One thing that also stuck out to me this season was the awareness around mental health. As we know, Carlton suffered from panic disorder and anxiety really bad. And he was on medication to help him deal with it. There was a time where Carlton was having a conversation with his parents because he wanted them to decrease his dosage. You know what? This storyline also reminded me of one I saw on Friday Night Lights with Waverly, because she stopped taking her medicine as well, and then it led to, because she was, I think she had bipolar disorder or personality disorder, and she stopped taking her medicine, and then she would experience extreme mood disorders. Carlton kind of did something similar to that in his storyline as well, where I don't know if it got to the point where he completely stopped taking it, but he got his dosage. I know for a fact that he asked for his dosage to be lower because he said he was feeling like a zombie. And he started having, like, he was starting to feel triggered a lot, and there was a couple of times where he did have a panic attack, and it ended up coming out by Lisa to Aunt Viv that was happening. Lisa really looked out for Carlton. Like, even though they had a past and they were no longer together, she really kept eyes on Carlton as far, I mean, you know, in addition to Will, but she really, you know, advocated for Carlton at times when nobody else was really checking for Carlton. The reason why I said that I was pissed at Carlton was because I felt like Carlton wanted all of these responsibilities, but Carlton didn't take the necessary steps sometimes to make sure things were right. Like, for example, him using. He knew that he said that he used in order to help him deal with his anxiety. But using is going to, you know, counteract everything that he's feeling. It may intensify everything that he's feeling. So I thought that was kind of irresponsible. And then the company that he kept, he knew he shouldn't have been around Connor, but for some reason, I mean, he did leave Connor alone because, you know, him and Connor had kind of had a situation where Carlton got physical with Connor, but Carlton constantly had to lie in order to, you know, be around. And then it got to the point where he actually got caught by Ashley using, and he like spazzed on Ashley. And Ashley, you know, at that moment you could see that she was really hurt and that she had really lost a lot of respect for Carlton because of the situation that was going on. Also, we dealt with Jeffrey. Jeffrey was a character that I really wanted to know more about in season 2, and I wanted them to go a little bit more into his character, but I guess that's something that we're going to get in season 3. Jeffrey, it came out that Jeffrey had a son, and it came out that the reason why Jeffrey ended up leaving London was because he was involved in the street life in London, and once he had his kid, he decided that he wanted to leave and get out of that lifestyle because he knew that it would be harmful to him and his family. So he ended up, I guess, him and the mother of his child ended up putting his son up for adoption, and he ended up having another family. But Jeffrey always kept tabs on his son and his son's family. That way they never went without. And so I thought that was interesting. Also, the brotherhood between Uncle Phil and Jeffrey, because at one point Jeffrey was on a leave of absence from the Banks family, and Jeffrey was really the muscle behind the Banks family. Like, he made sure that all of the business affairs, as well as all the house affairs, as well as the children, you know, everything with the Banks was taken care of. And so with Jeffrey leaving, you know, we got to see, you know, how things kind of shifted when he wasn't there. In addition to Will actually going to Jeffrey and asking Jeffrey to, you know, can you find out this information about my father? You know, they kind of looked for Jeffrey to look out for them as well. They depended on Jeffrey. It was to the point where, like, they were trying to track some of the cars, and they couldn't track the cars because all the cars was, handled under Jeffrey's name. So it was just interesting. One person I felt like whose storyline I also wanted more from was Hillary. I understand that Hillary is an influencer, and we also have the whole love triangle between Hillary, Jazz, and LaMarcus. But just to, learn more about Hillary's personality. And we got to see a little bit with her, trying to increase her influence on social media, broaden her audience, but she also was there to help Ivy, who was played by Karuchi, of course, to, help the girls, the content creators in the house get further and to help them attain more business brands and more business deals. But, sometimes when you have somebody who's an influencer, their story sometimes to me can be just very limited. It can be very limited. But of course, we want to know who Hillary picked. I do feel like Hillary, I don't feel like Hillary gonna end up going with LaMarcus to Paris. I feel like she's gonna turn around and go back to Jazz because I feel like Jazz is who she really wants to be with. Will did start entertaining Jackie. Will started entertaining Jackie in season 2. I wasn't necessarily here for Jackie. I felt like Jackie, I didn't dislike Jackie, but I wasn't here for Will and Jackie being in a relationship. I felt like Jackie was, for lack of better words, something for Will to do. I hate to say that, but Will really wanted to be with Lisa, but because of the situations with Lisa and her father and Will, whatever, Will got locked up for, that being an issue with Lisa's father. I do feel like, I ain't gonna say Jackie, I take that back. Jackie wasn't something for Will to do, but I feel like Jackie was a distraction from what really was going on. And in addition to, Jackie knew everything that her uncle Doc was doing, but, she tried to keep the two. It was a conflict of interest. Like, she tried to keep the two separated and she couldn't. Come to find out, re-looking at the whole storyline with Will and Doc, it brought me back to Swagger again because of the simple fact that, like, Will thought Doc was just a guy just like him. Will was from the hood. Doc was from the hood. Will wanted to play basketball. He felt like Doc had the resources and had the reach to get him where he wanted to be. He had an AAU team. And first of all, Doc's team cost $10,000 to join. What in the world kind of AAU team is like, and not only did it cost $10,000 to join, I think he had to pay like $5,000 a month, or it was some kind of outrageous monthly fee because they had to pay for the facilities or whatever like that. So basically, you paying for Doc to put you in front of these scouts to maybe get a scholarship. So then, if your career don't necessarily go the way you want it to, that would be a whole lot of money. The investment went bad. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the reason why I say it reminded me of Swagger is because the simple fact that playing basketball, there are a lot of sharks in basketball. Basketball in the business of sports can get very sharky. There are people out to make a profit off of people, especially when they see the person has talent and they know the person want to be somewhere, especially if the person come from a low income or some kind of hardship and they basically trying to grind for their family. They would take advantage of that. They did it in Shooting Stars with LeBron. They did it on Swagger with Jays, and they doing it on Bel-Air with Will. And so come to find out, like, Doc was taking a pay cut, and one of the guys ended up leaving the team, and Jackie and them knew this because of the simple fact that, like, it was a secret. Like, nobody wanted to talk about what was really going on. And I just thought that was messed up because, like, these kids really be out here, you know, trying to make a name for themselves and trying to change their family life, and people just be out here taking advantage of them, and it don't be a cute situation at all. As we know, Uncle Phil is no longer running for DA. He gave his position up. He gave his seat up during election for Lisa's daddy to take his place because they, you know, he was trying to expose Will, basically. But Uncle Phil was going back to the firm that he had created with his two buddies. The firm is not doing well. Uncle Phil was the face of the firm, and he was the reason why that firm had a lot of big clients. But when he decided to take his talents to run for DA, a lot of the clients left the firm. So basically, the firm was trying to sell portions of itself so that they could stay afloat. Uncle Phil ended up making a deal with this lady who is from his past. And did they date? I'm thinking they dated. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure they dated in the past. Or if they didn't date, something happened because Aunt Viv was not here for it. So it's kind of like the tables turned in season 2, because in season 1, Uncle Phil was really looking out for Reed and Aunt Viv, and then, you know, in season 2, it was Aunt Viv looking out for Uncle Phil. Now, Uncle Phil, I ain't here for you right now because of that situation, and the fact that Jeffrey had to pull that handkerchief out his jacket pocket so you could wipe your lips off was trifling, because you knew that this was a conflict of interest and this was a situation that you should not have put yourself in. And Jeffrey said multiple times, are you sure this is something that you think you should do? Because Jeffrey is knowing and seeing the repercussions as they are unfolding. Like, Uncle Phil, seriously. Let's see, what else? Oh, come to find out, I'm not here for Drew either, because Drew is the one who leaked the video of Carlton. Lisa was seeing Drew, and she was also in denial about Drew leaking the video of Carlton until Will said something to her about it. Of course, Will and Lisa are having their back and forth moments, because you can see on screen that physically they want each other, but at the timing is not right. And of course, because Lisa knows that Will is entertaining Lisa. Lisa knows that Will is entertaining Jackie. Another thing I meant to bring up about Carlton and his mental health was the black student union had like this social at the bowling alley, and so everybody was there, and everybody wanted to know what happened with Carlton and why he ain't say nothing. So basically Drew was antagonizing him, and it was to the point where Carlton felt provoked and he had to put his hands on Drew. And this was the one time I was on Carlton's side, because Drew deserved it. Okay, he deserved it. He was antagonizing Carlton. He was just doing too much. And it's to the point where he pushed Carlton and Carlton laid him out. And then Carlton then told everybody that he did have a panic disorder. And basically it got everybody in the group chat talking, because a lot of people were also dealing with things that no one else knew about. And so basically, to sum it up, that was a lesson learned, that you shouldn't, push people or say anything or think things about people if you're not 100% sure, because of the simple fact you don't know what that person is dealing with. You don't know what that person is going through on a day-to-day basis, and you don't know how you're adding or subtracting from their plate that they already have. What else? Let me read my notes. Let me go through my notes, because I got it broken down by episodes. But I don't want to read all of this, y'all, because sometimes I be like really analytical when I take notes when I'm watching a TV show. Oh, it was a $500 month fee, $10K startup payment $500 monthly fee. That's still crazy. I don't care. 500, 5,000. 10K is ridiculous in itself. 10K is a down payment on something. We had more moments of like Hillary meeting Jazz's parents, the little football game that they played when Hillary was getting real close with LaMarcus, Aunt Viv taking her position, and Aunt Viv is still on her goal to becoming this big art figure in the art world in LA, which, I'm all for Aunt Viv having her own career path. She's been a housewife for a long time, and so, now that I guess the kids were grown, this was her way to, create her own path again, get back into something that she was really passionate about. Ashley's birthday party. Ashley turned 13. Shoot, by the time we get Bel-Air, if they don't stop playing and pay these people, Ashley gonna be 20 playing 16. What else? Who was calling Jeffrey? Jeffrey's phone kept ringing and it was from an unknown number. I'm thinking somebody from Jeffrey past is in LA watching Jeffrey, and we don't know yet. What's the tea? What y'all think? What else? The family reunion was a cute moment. Uncle Phil and his brother, men, egos. But I think Carlton and his cousin really bonded because they were basically two sides of the same coin, trying to get their father's approval. There were a lot of times where Carlton felt jealous because he felt like Will was the son that his father always wanted. And maybe it's just me. I'm just going to say it's me. I didn't see what Uncle Phil did to really make Carlton feel that way. I know, to me, it seemed like Uncle Phil was always there for Carlton. But when Will came, Uncle Phil tried to, be there to support Will because Will was going through a lot. Will had lost his best friend. Well, I ain't gonna say he lost his best friend, but he had a friendship breakup. He was, he felt like he couldn't make decisions. It was a lot going on with Will. And so I just feel like, they try to be more sensitive. I do feel like they tried to be accommodating to all their children, because it was times when Hillary wasn't getting along with Aunt Viv. It was times where, Ashley was just, falling under the radar because of everything else that was going on. And then, Will and not getting along with Uncle Phil didn't even want Will there, first of all. And then Uncle Phil was doing it strictly off the strength of Aunt Viv because that was Aunt Viv's nephew. So it was just, it was just a lot. I wonder if Jackie is going to be back in season 3. I wonder if she going to, try to sink her claws back in Will. Because I do really think that she liked Will. But Jackie had a lot of baggage. We got to know a little bit of the baggage, but we didn't necessarily get to learn a lot more. But, the season ends with Summertime playing. Come on now, it's on the right. And we're going to get Bel-Air and Summertime. So we're going to see what the vibe is for season 3 overall. I think Bel-Air is a good show. First of all, they soundtrack, top tier. The music on the show, top tier. The fashion on the show, top tier. The hair. The braided styles, I like. The wigs, they are okay. They the blending of the leave out could be a little bit better. But, I'm not mad at the hair. I like the fact that they are, pushing the natural hairstyles, the braids, the curly hair, the afros. I'm here for all of that. And what else? Oh, and of course, it's showing a different side of Black life. They give you Black entrepreneurs, they give you Black business people, they give you Black professionals. They just, have a plethora of things, and it's coming from a affluent Black family. So yeah, y'all, that's all I have. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back with more videos. Deuces.